Hello, my name is Courtney James with Acuity Advisory Corp, and I'm here with Alain Lambert and Allan Frame from Beyond Lithium. Allan Frame is the CEO and president of Beyond Lithium, and Alain Lambert is the capital markets advisor and co-founder. Beyond Lithium just released a news release today, and I have the pleasure of chatting with a little bit to both of them about that release. Thank you so much to both of you for joining me.
Thanks for the
pleasure,
invite.
Courtney.
Amazing. So I'm going to jump in with some questions here. My first one is going to be for you, Allan. Today, Beyond Lithium announced the discovery of Beryl-bearing pegmatites with elevated lithium muscovite samples at its Gathering Lake South project. Can you tell us a little bit about the significance of this discovery?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Kind of reading off the press release a little bit, but what we said here at Gathering Lake was we found muscovite samples in the pegmatites that have up to 2,075 parts per million. So the significance of that is that results they're significant to us because they suggest the samples are well related to Beryl spodumene pegmatites as lithium contents for muscovite from a spodumene pegmatite is usually less than 1,000. So the significance is ours are quite a bit higher than that. And then to read on content from the announcement, we go on to say that lithium contents for muscovite from a fertile granite is less than 200 parts per million lithium based on data collected by the Breaks 2003 report. So what we're kind of highlighting in this announcement is that in the muscovite we sampled, the lithium is practically 10 times higher than these others. So we're pretty excited by it. I think the chances for having a spodumene discovery here are greatly enhanced by these three samples. Now, we also discovered 15 new pegmatites there as well, and 2 new trends. So there's a lot of words in here, and a lot of it kind of runs together after a while. But this is very significant for us. It advances our exploration in this particular area very dramatically.
Thank you for that thorough explanation. I really appreciate that. Alain, I'm going to shift over to you here. You recently visited the Gathering Lake South project with Beyond Lithium's VP Exploration and Senior Geologist. Can you tell us a little bit about what you saw during that visit?
Yes, absolutely. And I actually have my background picture to prove that I was there. As you said, yes, I did accompany our VP Exploration, Lauren Sang, and our senior geologists, Paul and Graham, and some of our prospectors, and we did go to that property, and what we saw and what we had then were these elevated lithium results coming from muscovite samples, and it was very interesting, and in the sense that we were in the area, and then we were trying to make sense of what it was that we saw, and I say we saw mainly the geologists. And because once you get a result of a lithium sample here and there, unto themselves, they're not necessarily very significant. You just know that at the place where you took a sample, there is lithium. But what is very significant is to then go on site, map the area, the entire area, take more samples, analyze all of the samples, and then come up with these maps that you see in today's announcement. Quite detailed, quite scientific maps. And the reason we do it this way is because we think we've got two audiences. So we certainly have the retail investor audience that follows our news, but eventually we'll be dealing with larger companies to do JVs, and maybe they'll want to invest in a project that we have or take the company over. So we also do things in a very scientific way in order to address the expectations of both audiences.
Amazing. Thank you for that. Allan, I'm going to switch this question over to you. So in today's news release, you stated, and I read, During my 47-year career in the investment business, I had the benefit of financing and being associated with multiple major discoveries, including the Snip deposit now owned by Skeena Resources. All of these discoveries had one thing in common: an experienced technical team focused on long-term success of the company. You and I have spoken before about the Beyond Lithium technical team. Can you explain to our viewers why you place such an emphasis on it?
Certainly. I was doing a little bit of math in my head and I kind of got a kick out of this, so perhaps the viewers will too. Look at it like this, as explorers, you've got vast properties to explore, and it's not easy. I mean, there's trees, sticks, bush, all kinds of stuff in your way to mask what may be lying under the ground. For example, if you're a real estate person, you go look at a house, you're going to inspect 2,000 square feet and try to determine what the value is. For these guys, do you know that 150,000 hectares equals, I got to read this because it's amazing, 1,620,000 square feet for us to inspect. So if you're not good, you're going to miss probably a billion of those square feet. And I can't emphasize enough how great our guys are. They pay tremendous attention to detail. And without paying the attention to detail, things are missed. I go back to some other discoveries. There was a discovery owned by a major company. It wasn't a discovery at the time, but there were boulders that were 10 ounces to the ton in gold. And people thought, well, they just came from somewhere else. A close inspection made that the Snip mine. That company went from 25 cents to 28 bucks because somebody had the time and the experience and the knowledge to know not where to look, but how to look. So I think our guys bring that in spades to this project. And I cannot emphasize that enough because we haven't looked at 1,620,000,000 square feet of property yet. But look what we've already done. Cosgrave Lake, Gathering Lake, so many more to come. And, we're in phase 2 already. We've been doing this for 4 months, which is amazing to me from start to, almost a dead heat run. We're really going hard at this property and we're turning up all kinds of things that weren't on anybody's surveys. And it was like moose pasture here, moose pasture there. But, our close scrutiny and exploratory investigations are proving that, there's a lot of pretty good juice out here. And I'm thrilled with it. But that's the basics. You don't have that, and if you're successful, you only get lucky. And to create sustained value, you have to explore and you have to have successful exploration. And I have no doubt we've got the team to do it, as they're already showing, including in today's announcement.
Amazing. Well, no, I appreciate that explanation. And I've actually had the privilege of meeting the exploration team, and they are phenomenal individuals. So I think that could not be a better description of them. And then last question. Oh, wait, no, not last question. Almost there. Alain, the news release also mentioned some recent work at Case Lake, Cosgrave Lake, and Weesa Lake. Can you summarize that work and maybe other projects we have not talked about?
Yes, I'd be pleased to. So, Courtney, yes. So let's talk about Weesa Lake. So we flew a LiDAR survey. We receive all of the data, and we will be analyzing that data before we put boots on the ground. Case Lake, which is right around Power Metals. We surround them on the east side. We couldn't get to it earlier this year because of forest fires. So we went there, identified a number of pegmatites, took some samples like we normally do. And Cosgrave, you'll recall that we made a major discovery at Cosgrave, which we recently announced, and it was one of the first major LCT pegmatite intrusive stock found in the Georgia Lake area in about 50 years. So in other words, it's sort of the plumbing that brings the fluids to the surface. And as we have discussed in the last interview, the concentration of lithium is away from that plumbing. And so we did two things after that discovery. We staked more ground, and then we sent our team back in there, and we've identified, I think I'm looking here, 50 new map pegmatites, 71 samples, and over 100 libs samples. And so we sent the samples to the lab. We're going to receive them, and we will continue to try to make sense of what it is that we have. We know it's big, we know it's there, and we'll see what it is. And then you mentioned other projects. In my view, certainly the projects I'm most interested or most excited about are probably those that we don't talk about. And Al alluded to that fact in the press release, because exploration is the way we do it is in order to bring out the value of a project out for the benefit of the shareholders, and so there are no shortcuts to that, right? So it's Beyond Lithium announcing that it has great grades in a property that's let's say 1,000 hectares that you can only get to by helicopter, and there's no other access, would be meaningless, right? So, and I know that some investors have been conditioned to look for those types of results. In our view, that we do things on our own time and in the most professional way. And sometimes you when you're in the field and you get results back and you see things that you like, maybe the best course of action is not to rush to issue a press release. Maybe the best course of action is to try to understand what the play is all about. Maybe there are strategic corporate things that we can do, and the shareholders can always have trust in Al and I to do what's best for them, and in the long term and in the best meaningful way.
Amazing. Well, that sounds very exciting, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. Last question, and then we'll be wrapping this up. This is directed at you, Al. What should investors expect from Beyond Lithium between now and the end of the year?
Good question. So for about 4 months, we've been running hard on the ground. About 3 of those months was in phase one, identifying targets that, were a little more interesting than others. So we've been into phase one for about a month, and, so we've shifted gears. We're in second gear and, revving it high in second. So I think shareholders can look forward to yet another gear shift with us as we continue to understand and discover more things and see the different attributes of our properties. So stay tuned, folks. There's lots of action coming, and we do intend to cap off the year with some fairly shallow holes, but we want to have a little bit of a tease from that. But our phase two is just coming along wonderfully. We get surprised every day in a good way, so I'm really happy, and we look forward to be able to share those events when applicable and appropriate with all of our shareholders.
Amazing. Thank you so much to the both of you for explaining a little bit more about today's news release. It was a pleasure to chat to you, and I hope you have a great rest of your summer.
Thank you very much.
Courtney.
And the same to you too.